I was totally stunned. I mean, I'm on vacation in the Berkshires listening to music and going to Shakespeare. And about midday on Tuesday, that was the day that Trump's, calamitous press conference happened later on in the afternoon. I get this email from a young guy identifying himself as coming from Bannon's office, saying Mr. Bannon would like to meet with you at the White House. So I looked at the 456 number. I looked at the EOP, looked legitimate, called him. It was legitimate. So we set up a time. About 45 minutes later, Bannon called, and he started out by flattering me, telling me how he'd been a fan of mine for years, and we seemed to be exactly in the same place on our view of China, and blah, blah, blah. And about 2 minutes into the conversation, it dawned on me that he never bothered to put this off the record. And, obviously the ground rules in journalism are that if a high government official calls you and doesn't bother to say it's on the record, even if it's his mistake, off the record rather, you assume that it's on the record. And so I was just stunned that the conversation went on and on and on. He's talking strategy, and he's being incredibly indiscreet in the way he's trashing various colleagues and explaining how he's going to get this one fired and take over. And then we get into the Korea-China nuclear story. And I think it was a column that I'd written on this a day earlier, saying that China was really taking advantage of us because in order to get their help on Korea, we're going to have to fold our hand on trade. And that's Bannon's view. And he also was astonishingly dismissive of his boss's view of saber rattling, saying, "No, that's not going to happen because 10 million people in Greater Seoul would get killed." And so, far from calling me to defend his boss, this was one of the interesting things. He called me to advance his own agenda, whether he thought it was on the record or off the record, and he was quite cavalier in saying things that were quite at odds with the presumed administration line, if there is one, both on China, Korea, where the line is we're going to make nice with them now for a while anyway, and see if they help us out with Korea, and then when I pushed him on the white nationalist stuff, you say what you need to say. So he starts saying some very dismissive things about the base that he helped create. And the most astonishing thing of all, I don't know if you've seen this, but the Daily Mail last evening has this interview where Bannon, having said that, oh, this was a misunderstanding, I didn't realize this was on the record, now he's saying I did this deliberately to help the president out by diverting attention from all the stuff that's going on in the aftermath of Charlottesville. So you wonder how clearly he's thinking. I guess that's one question. And I think you could attribute this to hubris in the sense that if you're so full of yourself, your judgment starts faltering. And then there are some people who have said, no, he did this deliberately. He wanted to get these views out. I don't think so. This was like a stream of consciousness.